Hello, driver education. This is Miss Roth, and today I'm going to be talking about Chapter 11, Sharing the Road, specifically Chapter 11.1 and 11.2. It's not too bad. Here's the reality. We are all sharing the road as drivers, as pedestrians, as bicyclists, and we're all part of the wonderful Highway Transportation System, or HTS. We want to start out with pedestrians because of all these roadway users. Obviously, our pedestrians are the most vulnerable or the most helpless. We don't realize that in the United States, collisions injure an average of one pedestrian every 8 minutes and kill one pedestrian every 108 minutes. While we talk about pedestrians, I want you to put yourself in those shoes. Many of you walk to school and you walk everywhere around Oak Park and River Forest. So you are a pedestrian a lot of your life. And then the next reality comes out that the minute you exit your car, get off your bike, you become a pedestrian. Children and seniors are at the greatest risk. Children are obviously less visible, they're smaller, they often lack judgment to know when it's safe. Where seniors may not hear or see well, they may walk slowly. But a lot of times that pedestrians are careless. They take chances. Think about yourself when you're running to lunch or running somewhere during a short amount of time. You will jaywalk. You won't pay attention to the rules and the signals. How often I see down on Lake Street people just crossing the street to go grab their Starbucks because that was the only place they could park their car. So they ran across the street. They don't look. And that's why nearly half of these pedestrians are going to involve a driver or with pedestrians. Okay. We need to protect them. We are obviously, when we're in our vehicle, we have a nice steel cage over us where pedestrians just cross anywhere. We need to really focus in on our IPDE process, predict where they may cross. I talk a lot about Lake Street as being a busy place, and people are crossing. And yes, there's pedestrian walkways, but you as a driver need to pay attention. You need to identify where there are busy business areas, where you have different things happening, and pedestrians are everywhere. Pedestrians have the right of way when they're crossing in a crosswalk. Okay. If they're jaywalking, you still can't, just be like, oh, well, they should have waited. They didn't look, blah, 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 blah. Let's be real, people. Pedestrians always have that right of way, and we need to protect them. And I'm going to keep emphasizing that. Some crosswalks are controlled by signals, some do not, some are timed well. We know from previous chapters to look for a stale green light. You may be looking to see that pedestrian crosswalk signal starting to flash, starting to say, it's going to be yellow soon. Drivers must yield until the crosswalk is clear, even if your light is green. Okay? At intersections, many pedestrians are struck just as they step into the street because of inattention of their surroundings. Okay? We talk about bad weather. And again, I want you to put yourself in that pedestrian shoe right now. The weather's bad. You guys are on your phone. You're not paying attention. Your head is down. Yes, there is a lot of responsibility on pedestrians, but again, you are in a steel cage of your vehicle. You're going to hurt them. And collisions with pedestrians a lot of times happen when people are turning left. They had that protected green light or protected left turn, and then now they're waiting for their gap in traffic, and they see the light turn yellow and red, and they want to proceed with their left turn, and they don't see that there's a pedestrian still in the middle of the road. You need to search carefully before turning right on red. Make sure you always yield to pedestrians as well. And on that note, remember the real first step for making a right turn on red is to stop. And then you have that creep up, stop fully again. Make sure you look for the pedestrians. Make sure you're looking for everybody. And remember that safety stop. Don't get in that habit of creeping into traffic. Okay. Alleys and driveways, in the Illinois rules of the road, they will say to beep before getting to that crosswalk where pedestrians might be. But don't do that in Oak Park, because in Oak Park, they actually frown upon that beepage. But that's why when we're coming out of an alley, when we're coming out of a driveway, you need to make two stops. You need to make that stop before the sidewalk, and then you stop again before you enter traffic. Okay, look both ways, look around you. And again, make those two complete stops before and exiting those alleys and driveways. And then I've already said business districts, Lake Street, downtown Oak Park, be aware. They're very distracted. They're looking around at whatever. Pedestrians just want to get where they need to go. Okay. Coming back, we have residential areas. So like around our school, possibly around your house, there's a definite residential area. Reduce your speed. Use a lane position with the best visibility, okay, towards the middle, hugging that middle. Crosswalks, not necessarily marked. I'm going to say joggers, walkers, they're obviously safer on the sidewalks and the jogging paths, but you're going to see them. In fact, you see them all over our town in big mobs taking up the whole street. Okay, be ready to slow down. Be ready to steer around them. Watch for those children playing on the road. Okay, should kids be playing out in the street? No, but we always have to think about, I always think about the kid with the ball, and we're going to talk about this in a minute as well. But the kid with the ball, not everybody is going to be a basketball star or a throwing star. And that ball is going to go into the street. And where's that kid going to go? They're going to go right out into that street to go get their ball. You, as a driver, need to be aware of the situation happening around us. Okay. We also have to worry about reduced visibility. So at night, a lot of our collisions occur with our pedestrians. If the road is poorly lit, the pedestrian's wearing dark clothes, you can't see them. And again, we've got that rain, snow, sleet, Chicago weather. And I know I've got my head down. I know I'm not necessarily paying attention to more that's right in front of my face that I can see. So watch for those pedestrians and be more due diligent, especially when the weather is bad. Pedestrians have a responsibility just like everybody else on the HTS, that highway transportation system. Expect that drivers may not see you. Okay, you need to make yourself visible. If there's a sidewalk, walk on the sidewalk. If there aren't any sidewalks, walk so you're facing traffic. What you're going to learn throughout this chapter, most people or most other people that we're going to be sharing the road with, they're going to go with traffic. Pedestrians are the only ones that are going to drive or walk or run against traffic. So they're going to walk or run facing traffic. Watch for that oncoming traffic every time you cross the street. Don't walk into traffic lanes from between parked cars, because again, you become a pedestrian as soon as you exit your vehicle. Okay, We're going to talk 11.2, which is your bicycles and mopeds. Realize there is a difference between a bicycle and a moped, and a lot of you don't quite realize what a moped is. It is a small two-wheeled vehicle that can be driven with either a motor or pedals. So motorized pedal bike. Okay. They have a max speed of 20 to 35 miles an hour. They are not allowed on high-speed roadways. I've been seeing more and more of these around town, especially as gas prices have gone up. But they're quite nice where you can, like I said, this actually right here, the picture over here is a scooter. It is not a moped because a moped would have pedals. You may encounter bicycles, mopeds, almost anywhere you drive. Small size makes them hard to see, especially at intersections. And just like that last section, I want you to put you in the place of a bicyclist. A lot of you probably bike, okay? I generally will ask, who has been hit while riding their bike. And I usually have one or two students that will say, yes, I've been hit by a bicycle, by a car when I was riding my bike. Their size makes it difficult to judge their speed and difference and distance. They appear to be moving much slower than they are. Some people are super fast on those bikes. Use IPDE again to search for the bicycles and the mopeds. Predict that they may leave the sidewalk, cross the road in front of you, not follow traffic rules or right of way. A lot of times I do not see bicyclists stopping at stop signs. They're supposed to, but they do not. Okay, mopeds maybe, but not necessarily. And then as a driver, your responsibility is to protect them. Because again, going back to our pedestrians, they don't have that steel cage protecting them. Give those bicycle and moped riders extra space whenever you can. Don't beep at them. Don't startle them. Okay, I hear a horn and I start looking around. I'm on my bike and now I'm running into something. Allow extra time for them to pass through the intersections. Use your low beams at night if they're nearby, and never park or drive in a marked bicycle lane. I know now we have Madison Street that the bike lane is on the inside and then they park on the middle, and I don't even know what's happening. So just be aware of where bikes can come out and where there are designated bike lanes. Don't pass a bike if oncoming traffic is near. Yield to that traffic. And then remember, when it's safe to pass, leave at least 1/2 of a lane between your vehicle and the bike. Don't pass at an intersection, okay? And that's a regular rule of lane changing. We don't make lane changes at intersections. We also don't pass at intersections or just before. After you're passing, check that rear zone before returning to your lane. So same rules apply as every other lane change. Don't make a quick right turn in front of a bike or a moped. Rider might not have enough time or space to avoid you. If you don't have the space to pass and safely turn, slow down and let the bicyclist go through that intersection. I find I do that often. I'm going to slow down. I'm going to watch for that bicyclist. I'm going to move myself over after they've passed. And then they also have that same left turn issue with collisions where people are not paying attention once that light turns yellow and red on that unprotected left turn. Because of the sensors of protected and unprotected left turns, you may have a bicyclist or a pedestrian crossing when there's that protected left turn arrow and that green light in their direction. So be aware of that as well. Backing out, check for everybody. That's simple thought process. Okay, this is why we have cameras a lot, because you don't want to back into someone. Okay, and then exiting a parked car, remember we talk about the Dutch reach, where you take your right hand over yourself to open your door, and that's just a better way for you to check over your left shoulder or your blind spot before flinging your door into traffic. Okay. Um, yeah, we're not slingers, people. We're not slingers. Okay. And then finally, in this section, we talk about the responsibilities of the cyclist. So, a bicycle or a moped, you have to obey all traffic laws. Okay, I said already, stop at the stop signs, stop for traffic lights, look for lane markings. You ride in the same direction as other motorized vehicles, even if you're on a bicycle. To reduce your risk of a collision, always ride in a predictably straight line and in the same direction as other traffic. You ride with traffic. Choose the lane positions that make you clearly visible. Use hand signals to indicate turns and stops so you can go back and you can check the hand signals. Give them a heads up. When riding with others, ride in single file. Wear a helmet, light colored clothing, reflective tape. And this one's hard for you. Don't wear your headphones. Don't be texting and riding a bike. Okay. You need to be an active participant in this highway transportation system as a pedestrian, as a cyclist, as a moped rider. Thank you. We're going to go on in the next presentation to the rest of Chapter 11. Hello, driver education students. This is Ms. Roth, and we are here to continue Chapter 11, Sharing the Road, and finishing up the chapter. We are on Chapter 11.3, Motorcycles and Scooters. Scooters we saw in the last presentation, and I know it said moped, but scooters are just generally smaller, less performance-oriented than motorcycles. Although some are large, as a mid-sized motorcycle, they don't have shifting, they don't have gears. Operators of motorcycles and scooters have the same rights and responsibilities as those of other motor vehicles. Now, on that, a lot of scooter companies are fairly smart, and you need to realize that just because it looks like a motorcycle, they will make the engine smaller, just smaller than what would be required necessarily for a motorcycle license to be required. So just know that in the back of your head. Understanding the special behaviors and needs of a scooter and motorcycle rider are going to help you predict their behavior. Okay. They need to maintain their balance and traction on two wheels. So it requires that core strength that is way more than what you would require on a bicycle because they are heavier. Okay. They need you to coordinate your hands and your feet with your brakes and what you are doing. Motorcycles are less stable at low speeds than at higher speeds. Think about your bicycle. When you start to slow down, that's where you start shifting yourself a little bit. But higher speeds, it reduces that maneuverability. So they may not be stable at low speeds. At high speeds, they will reduce that maneuverability. A patch of gravel, wet leaves, this can be a serious and horrible hazard for a motorcyclist or scooter ride. Okay. When passing this motorcyclist, predict that a rider may need to change lanes to avoid risky road conditions, especially if there's bad weather. And bad weather, they may be focusing like a pedestrian on that bad weather and trying to get to a safe or dry spot. And you need to be responsible for that. Adjust your lane position as you need to. Okay. Motorcycles and scooters are capable of amazing acceleration. They don't weigh as much as cars, so they're going to go much faster, much quicker. Okay. Motorcycles have that separate brake for the front and rear wheels. Most of the stopping power is in the front brake, but if a motorcyclist applies the front brake too hard, it can cause the brake to lock up, and then you get that loss of control. Just like when you're riding your bicycle, you need to control the braking mechanism. A skillful rider with good traction, good tires may be able to stop more quickly than a car driver. Inexperienced rider, they can lose control. Um, Inexperienced riders may be riding a bike that's too big for them. They may drop that bike when they come to that slower position. They can't carry it. They can't handle the weight of the bike. A passenger vehicle occupies about 6 feet of a lane. Motorcyclist occupies only 3, but they do use every bit of their lane, just not all at the same time. They adjust their positions to get the best visibility and avoid hazards. Respect the rider's need and legal right to use their full lane. Don't try to share a lane with them. Don't try to pass them in their lane. Okay, when you check your lane, when you're lane changing, make sure you're checking that blind spot carefully and remembering that your blind spot is not a mirror. It is not a mirror. You need to do that head check. They are small, they move about a bit, and you need to be aware. When a motorcycle collides with another vehicle, the driver of the other vehicle is at fault more than half of the time. Okay, make a special effort to use that IPDE. Remember, I just said those blind spots are crucial to be checking. At night, they are less visible. Many riders are going to wear bright clothing, helmets that will make them more noticeable. Some keep their headlights on at all times, and a lot of cars, of course, have those daylight running headlights. Search for the reflective materials on the helmet, on the jacket, especially at night. Most collisions with two-wheeled vehicles occur at intersections. It's the same place in that left turn that a lot of pedestrians and bicyclists run into problems. Their turn signals, they don't turn off automatically. So a good rule of thumb is do not just cross and go through traffic or go straight ahead until the motorcyclist has either made their turn or crossed through the center of the intersection. Look for indications that they are going to turn. They may reduce their speed. They may search the intersection more, change position, and looking to the left and the right. But obviously, they're going to be trying to do this either way. Don't go straight into a motorcyclist until you're sure they are going straight or if they have made that turn already. Okay. Motorcyclist turning right, again, has the entire lane for the new path of travel. So that path of travel, remember, is where you want your car to go. Multiple right turning lanes create a hazard because some drivers move to a different lane during the turn. Watch for riders making those left turns and then stay within your lane. I already went over turning left in front of the motorcyclist. Just remember to leave that space, that time. This is a major cause of rider fatalities. This is a major cause of collision. And then again, I mentioned adverse weather conditions. They don't have the same protection from the weather. You know, I mean, we're out here driving with windows down all the time, but we still have that nice warm car to surround us. Motorcyclist is just going to be affected by the weather conditions. It can also reduce their visibility. It can reduce their traction. Riders may not be wearing the proper gear. They might get chilled. They might get distracted. And on wet roads, motorcyclists can gain traction by riding in the wheel tracks of another vehicle. A rider can quickly lose traction when the road is covered with oil, wet leaves, sand, gravel, snow. Remember that the worst part of any weather condition is when it first starts to rain, or when it first starts to rain and the oil comes up from the road, because oil and water don't mix. So when it first starts raining, it's super slick and you can't see these oil patches until the oil dissipates to the sides of the road. Okay. In adverse weather, when visibility and traction are decreased, assume, make the prediction a motorcycle has worse traction and visibility than your vehicle. Search for these riders who are in these conditions and increase your following distance. Give them that respect. Sometimes you're going to have motorcyclists that are going to be carrying passengers. Realize that motorcyclists not only then have to carry the weight of their bike and their self, they then have to take on the weight of that passenger. Okay. They need, some passengers on motorcycles are not experienced. So the driver, if they are experienced, might have them just sit upright instead of move into the turn with them. And then again, they have to take on that weight to control it. A lot of motorcyclists are going to drive in groups of 2 or more, and they ride in kind of a staggered position where they're next to each other, but one's slightly in front and one slightly in back. So they take up that whole lane and people don't try to pass in the lane that is legally theirs. Riders can reduce or prevent injuries by wearing protective gear. It has 2 purposes: comfort and protection. Most states have laws requiring riders to wear helmets, but I'm not going to lie here, guys. Illinois is not one of them. Helmets are not required to be worn in Illinois, even in the city. In a collision, these helmets can save lives. They also can reduce the noise of the wind and prevent fatigue. Other things people can wear: goggles or face shields. Again, going back to Illinois, the only thing required by motorcycle riders is eye protection. That's it. That's all they need to be wearing. But they can also wear gloves, over the ankle boots, sturdy jackets and pants. You get pushed off that motorcycle, fall off, that gravel will get in your body and occasionally pop out years later. That road rash is fierce. And then we come to trucks, buses, emergency vehicles, and specialized vehicles. Okay. When you share the roadway with larger vehicles, you must understand and respect the needs of these larger specialized vehicles. Okay. Service trucks, pickup trucks, delivery trucks are usually light or medium weight. Heavy trucks include dump trucks, tractor trailers, and realize a truck that has a powerful tractor pulling a separate trailer is called a tractor trailer. The tractor is the engine and the driver cab. The trailer is the back. A semi-trailer has one trailer, but a true trailer will have more than one. In a collision, the size of these trucks puts you as a driver at risk. They have long stopping distances. We talk about, weight is going to increase that stopping distance. Weight times 2. So every time they put a different load, their stopping distance is going to be different. A big thing that I always talk about are these no zones. Good rule to follow: if you can't see the truck driver in the truck side mirror, they can't see you. So if you can't see their mirrors, they don't know you're there. They have big blind spots. They're called no zones. There are 4 no zones. They include the areas to the side, the rear, the front. The front no zone can be more than 20 feet up. Okay, that's a lot of vehicles. Right side blind spot, most dangerous because trucks make wide right turns and cannot see you clearly. People driving large trucks or semis like that are the only ones that need to swing out to the left to make a right turn. You may see cars do this. It is so not necessary and it is so much more dangerous. Most of these people, so I know buses also, on the back of them it says, I make wide right turns. Stay out of my zone there. And that is your responsibility. If you're following a large truck on an expressway, increase your following distance because if you can't see their mirrors, you can't see them in the mirror, they can't see you. And the bigger the vehicle in front of you, the less you can see. Okay. I already said, and you can see a picture right here. I always think of it like a nutcracker where you get caught in this right turn crunch. Okay. They're going to move left to make that right turn. Keep out of that open space. Be aware of what they are doing and what they are attempting. To safely pass a long vehicle, you obviously need more distance. When you're in that position to pass, make sure you check your front and rear zones and your blind, then signal. You stay in that lane position too, okay, so out from them, and complete your pass carefully and quickly. Don't hang out in their no zone. Remember, if at all possible, don't slow down in a lane change. You want to speed up or maintain your speed. And then signal, make sure you're communicating with those around you. Make sure you're communicating with the truck or the big vehicle by signaling your lane change. Don't come back into that lane until you see at least one headlight in your rearview mirror. If you pass during rain or snow, when the road is wet, the spray from the truck may cover your windshield. You need to make sure that you've got nice wiper blades and you're aware of that spray that can be coming out. When you meet a large truck, move into lane position 3, so the farthest over to the right. Reduce your speed and drive straight towards your target area. So where, as far out as you can see, path of travel is where you want to go. Hold that steering wheel firmly because you may encounter a gust of wind as you drive by and you might start to move. Try to give them as much space as possible and move over. Be nice, people. And then we come into buses. Buses also have the large no zone. They also take extra space to turn. They can also cause line of sight restrictions. Okay, local transportation, they make frequent stops. It says on their bus, we make frequent stops. They pick up, they drop off passengers. They're usually at intersections. They're not going to stop in the middle of the intersection, but they're going to stop right before. Expect them to be doing this and be alert for the pedestrians. Okay, people run towards them. I'm sure you have run towards the bus at times. School buses, you need to be extra careful about school buses. More and more you see them in Oak Park. They're bright yellow. They're so you can see them. And if there are flashing red lights on a school bus, you need to stop. On a 2-lane street, when the red lights begin to flash, so like East Avenue, motorists traveling in both directions must stop before reaching the school bus. Both directions. Now, I want to go back real quick. If you are on North Avenue, then buses by law have to drive around. So that's that 4-lane road. They have to let their pedestrians off, their children off on the proper side, so the right side of the road. And then they would have to drive around and stop on that side of the road. So if you're on a bigger road, a 4-way road, 4-lane road like North Avenue, you only have to stop on the side that the school bus is on. And I think that's important to note. Emergency vehicles respond to fires, they respond to medical emergencies, incidents involving hazardous materials. The driver of an emergency vehicle are likely going to disregard the traffic signs, the speed limits, the direction of traffic and parking. In addition to trucks and buses, you share the road with low-speed vehicles, snowplows, farm equipment. All of these things are going to be in your way, and you need to deal with them. And just briefly, remember, emergency vehicles, you move over to the right as best you can. If you're in the turning lane to go left, just stop. If you can't get all the way over, stop. If they need you to go through that turn, they will let you know. There are also emergency sensors that will start to flash, maybe turn the lights green, maybe turn the lights red, generally red, and it will alert you to the fact that there is an emergency vehicle coming. That is it for chapter 11. Sharing the road is what we do. We go from motorists to pedestrians. We have to pay attention to everything around us. And I hope this helped you out in explaining the rest of chapter 11. Thank you.